Morning guys, welcome back to the Big Time Operator series where we are going to start diving into some pre-emerged fertilizer, continuing on spring planting, and most importantly, working with our neighbor Thomas. Let's dive into today's episode and see what happens. It is officially full-blown planting season. If we check up on our maps, you guys can see we have been diving heavy into the planting. But to note, not all of this ground is mine. Some of this is registering as Thomas's ground. We're working from east to west. I got my guys currently on the Dorito field up north, as Daryl was out pretty early this morning, and I think Thomas is down by his son's cattle farm trying to get that ground, and then he's going to move up to the dairy system. I got a bunch of pre-emerge that I got to spray, and I know Thomas is kind of custom contracting me out to do some of his place. So we are just gonna be on the road and in the field. Hope everybody's having a wonderful start to their day and quite possibly summer break. If you want to help support the channel during these hot months, be sure to head down below, smash that like button, maybe even consider subscribing. We're gonna start looking for our bean ground since it was planted first, and I want to make sure we are on top of that so the weeds do not take over. Probably could just look at the map. All of the fields around me are beans. How convenient. Except that is Tom's. Where does my ground start? Hold on, I don't even remember where my own ground's at. I know these 3 boots are all my land, and 2 out of the 3 are beans. So let's start with those 2. I believe it is prime time to be getting the hogs into the sale barn, but I still do not believe we have their weight maxed out. We're about a month or 2 out, but doesn't hurt to check. Oh, they are so close. Their feed's doing good, but the manure is also stacking up. We're going to have to take care of that. Farrowing pens looking fine. And our hogs, of course, the heavy batch, which we might as well just take into market and let the last of the hogs fill up on weight. Same thing with the manure. It's starting to stack up. That's something I can worry about a little later. Chatted a bit more with my agronomist this morning about how I'm going to be taking on some custom contracting for the spraying. So we will get a discounted rate since we will be buying more in bulk. But I'll also be getting paid from people like Thomas and any other farmers I am going to be working with. If we get paid enough, we might as well buy ourselves a self-propelled sprayer. As good of a yield as I'm probably going to get from this year's return, I still know it could be better because we did not get out with primary tillage like I wanted to. We'll just have to rely on the secondary tillage that our operation was able to complete before the start of planting season. As long as I don't get stuck on any of the trees when I come back around and start doing the rows, I should be fine. I want to check in on Daryl to make sure he hasn't finished up yet. The planter just has to keep running. We have it smooth, we have it dialed in. As long as that machine is not broken, we just gotta keep on going. The crop window is getting smaller and smaller as the days go by, and we already have a couple seeds popping out of the ground. Getting a little live feed up at Daryl's operation. He seems to just be going in circles. Daryl, what are you doing? Is he at least done? Okay, he's at least done. Trying to stay on topic, we are going to head south to those 3 plots and get them planted with beans. Little patch and the remainder of the dark ones are all Thomas's area. My guess is that he's going to move from the plot he's working on right now up to this piece of land, but I guess we will find out when we get there. At some point, I'll bring the tender trailer down with the Ford. We're probably just going to need to go back to the co-op and fill the trailer up. I know I'm going to go through quite a lot of chemical. Thomas should also be getting out with his case sprayer within the next couple days, and that'll help loosen some of the load that I'm going to have to do for him. Let's make our way down south. We'll check back in with the planter, which you can see on the horizon in just a bit. I still really wish I could buy that little farmstead on the south side of the map. You know how cool that would be as like a little cattle ranch? Maybe even a hog farm? It just makes so much sense. Temperature's been staying relatively consistent in the local metro. The wind also has stayed very mild. You don't want to be spraying when there's wind because of the drift. You let this chemical drift onto the wrong stuff and it can kill a lot of things that you really don't want it to. If I do get too low on chemical, I guess I could just run across the road to the co-op and pick some up. And speaking of the co-op, Thomas is likely going to have to side dress his corn crop as well, because I know for certain he wasn't able to get into the field with some anhydrous before the ground froze as well. Seems like everybody got behind last year. I think I'm going to take a hike back to the farm and go grab the tender trailer. Also make sure that Corey has been following around the planter with the seed tender. Check the levels on that. This could be a little bit of a trek.
One eternity later.
Yep, that took a lot longer than I wanted it to. Fuel, check. Supplies, check. Wow, we're actually not starving of resources for once in a lifetime. Oh wow, the tender is really behind the planter. Corey, what are you doing, man? We gotta get this down south. How much is still in the thing? I believe it's about a quarter. Yeah, a little under a quarter. We'll get him down to the co-op to pick up a bit more seed. That way he can meet the planter on the other side of the map. Dora, hey. Dora.
A few moments later.
Want to give the other stuff towards the west just a few days to get itself set into the ground before we just burn it with fertilizer. So we'll make our trek back north, probably start knocking out the sector just to the left of my arrow and going north. Corey is officially reporting that he's down by the secondary hog barn, getting the planter filled up with Daryl to start working that bottom left sector. I think we're just right on schedule. Just park it up and wait for the magic. I'm gonna let Corey take over the spraying for a bit. I kind of want to be down on the planter. Just make sure we could top off the seed hoppers. That way we are set to go. And I will just jet right across the road. I want you guys to let us know down below, what is your favorite planter in American farming? Is it the big 36 row? Is it the older 12 row? At least I think it's a 12 row. Pretty certain of that. Yes, 12 row. I would have to say this is probably my favorite. The Landall seed drill is also a great choice. But if you really want to get anything done, you gotta get the big boy. People in my area do run these big planters, but they're more than likely going to be a 24 row. Nobody that I know runs a 36, let alone the big DB120, which is a 48 row. There is an operation about 30-ish minutes northeast of me that apparently runs it, but they got a big two-track Challenger that pulls that thing. That would be a monster setup to see go pull through a field. Of course, that land pretty much all has to be just flats, because you couldn't do massive terraces and hill climbs where I'm at with a planter that size. I really would have liked to get a big nose Steiger, but you just can't run the row crop setups on that large scale of a tractor. So I've been liking this little 470. Just sometimes wish I could get the tractor with the bigger horsepower, but I want to keep the wheels. Don't want to go to tracks. Tractor's not too low on fuel, but we are looking at about a quarter tank left. We're gonna have to make sure Kevin is on our 6 with the fuel truck once we start getting low, because I do not want to have to bring this tractor back to the farm unless A, the planter is broken, or B, we are planting by the house. Man, I am just jumping all over the place today. Corey already ran out of spray, and then when he took the chemical from the tank of the tender is now empty, so I gotta go get more spray. It wasn't that full in the first place, but yikes. Might be burning a hole in my wallet here for the next couple weeks. Anybody want to take a guess on how much this is going to cost? I came down here to get seed, and that cost me about $17,400 to fill that sucker up. I bet this is at least 7. Oh, never mind. A little over 3 grand. I'll take that. I'm just surprised how expensive the seed is. I guess it is probably, what, 165 bucks a bag if you get the good stuff? I don't know. Farming's expensive. There you go. If it's almost 18 grand to top off my tender, I'd hate to be the guy that has to fill one of those massive semi-trailers full of them. Oh boy, that'd suck. It's probably not the smartest idea from a compaction standpoint, but I just park at the corn ground because we're not going to be able to do anything with it until a little bit later in the summer. Hopping back to the planter, just heading on the other side of the intersection. And then I believe we got one more piece, and then we got to head north unless we want to swap over to corn. Trying to get all of one crop done first so I don't have to worry about it. If I had a secondary planter, I could start working on the other crops, but we just have so much land we gotta plant, it might just be more effective to keep planting the one big crop at a time. If you guys are curious as to how which field I know needs to be what crop, in our fertilize tab, if you see the land have a blue tint, then more than likely it has to go to corn. But if it has a green tint, that means that that ground is likely gonna go to beans. I'm hoping that all this stuff stays relatively within the same time frame of each other once it gets ready to harvest. But this will make the map feel probably the least empty it ever has been, because I have yet to ever have this much crop planted in this game. By a long shot. I guess as much as I'd like to haul in the hogs from the South Hog Barn, it's probably just going to be worth it more to just wait until the entire livestock is at max weight. even if we have to take a bit of a loss on the price tag. Planting's just a little bit more important right now. And after this plot, I think we need to head north, maybe? Yes. Wait, no. I might actually be done planting beans. I think we're on to corn now. Yeah, because the rest of the ground that I got should be corn. Okay, I guess that's a great segue to get this thing topped off with fuel and swap out the plates to make sure the planter is set for corn. Let's make our way back to the farm and we'll get swapped over to the big boy. Last question of the day. I want you guys to head down to the comment section. What is your favorite part of American farming? I'm starting to love the storytelling that I'm able to construct, even though I'm limited to what a mobile game has to offer. By incorporating my AI workers from Farm Sim, I allow myself to give the world a more lively feeling. The equipment selection is pretty awesome, and the ability to use the tools in a versatile way is sometimes kind of endless. So while that might not be a feature of the game, it certainly does showcase that you can be creative with something that doesn't give you as many tools as some of the bigger title. It does showcase the amount of creativity that you can put into something when you have the limited resources. Looks as though Corey is done spraying, and I think Thomas said he just finished up down south as well, unless he has just a few more little bean patches, but I'm pretty certain all the rest of our stuff now just needs to be set over to corn. If you need me, I'll be in the shop getting the planters set. But until next time, I think that is going to do it for our rendition on Big Time Operators today. I appreciate you guys all tuning in. Make sure to check out that playlist in the top right-hand corner of your screen if you have not already. And be sure to keep it light, keep it loose, keep it fresh, and most importantly, keep it fun. We'll see you guys all in the next one. This will be Squad Farms out. Peace.